My brothers and sisters in Christ, in today's gospel we hear the parable of the virgins waiting with their lamps for the bridegroom's coming, an image that speaks not only to the end times, but of our need for vigilance and how we go about being vigilant, always ready for his coming. And so the reading that we hear, or the first reading we hear from Paul to the Corinthians, gives great context for one of the aspects of this. And this is the need for vigilance to the revealed truth of God. Paul speaks of the fact that he has been sent to preach the gospel not with human eloquence, and that he comes and it goes on the famous line about, I preach Christ crucified, foolishness to Gentiles and a stumbling block for Jews. But he goes on to contrast how, in a sense, the wisdom of the world, the gospel makes no sense in the light of the wisdom of the world. In a sense, worldly wisdom will not accept it, and yet it's salvation for those who will. And so what Paul reveals in this is the fact that this isn't just something of our times, but for all times. The cross has been revolutionary. The cross has been counterculture, and not just countercultural to our culture or this culture, but to all human sinful culture. In a sense, the ways of the world that is under the weight of sin, the cross stands as something different. And so there is this constant temptation in every age, including our own, to compromise the gospel, in a sense, to get along. We look at the world. Well, nowadays, people want to not only question certain revealed faiths or things that, if science can't prove it, it's not real, or just, in a sense, the constant reinterpretation of morality. And there are those that would say, well, in order to reach people, we need to, in a sense, spruce up or modernize the gospel. Well, there's a distinction between modernizing the ways in which we share the gospel versus modernizing the gospel itself. The gospel is never in need of modernization. Now, the way in which we share it comes from age to age. For those who hear it for the first time, we speak in a language that people can understand. Jesus himself did this in his use of parables. He used very simple images that the people of his time could understand to impart very deep truths. So the way, for example, the way that someone preaches, the way I give a homily on a Sunday is different than the way St. Augustine would have, centuries and centuries ago. It varies, but the gospel itself doesn't change. And so we need to remember this in the temptation, not just in terms of revising the teachings of the church itself, but the way I interact with my faith, the way I explore the mystery of the faith, is that my faith should impact how I take in the things of the world. The world should not affect my faith. The church has much to reveal to the world, the fullness of the truth of God, to bring light to places of darkness brought about by sin. The church herself is not meant to be changed by the world. So there's one sense of we're in the world but not of the world, and that applies to the church on the whole and to us as individual Christians, that the cross of Jesus, even though it might be foolishness to some, a stumbling block to others, it is the path of salvation. And so that must be the thing I cling to with vigilance, that for every pressure and bombardment that will come, the world will always be hostile to the true message of the cross because it's opposed. It's opposed to its master, the evil one who holds the world under his dominion till the end of time. And so, yes, if I cling to the cross, I will face opposition, and that's okay. And so if we want to be like the wise virgins who had enough oil for their lamps to be ready, then we must cling to that which is eternal, unchanging, and true. And in that we will find our joy and our freedom. May God bless you.